you. So I just want to acknowledge as well the amazing welcome that Selena gave us. It did actually warm my heart, and I felt very privileged to have that welcome here tonight. But I would also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands in which we meet on behalf of the Women's Justice Network. And also because we're talking, what I'm going to be talking about is people in prison and women in prison. And we know they're vastly overrepresented right across Australia, which is a national shame. We need to do better. I just wanted to acknowledge that. So firstly, I'd like to talk about the Women's Justice Network, and that the reason we exist is to facilitate change and hope and provide a voice to women who are entangled in the criminal law system. We've actually stopped using the word criminal justice system that most people use, because there is no justice when it comes to sending somebody to prison. There's nothing beneficial that comes out of that process, and particularly for women. We passionately believe that no matter how many mistakes you've made or what has happened to you in the past, it does not determine your worth or your future. I know that for women in prison, they've ended up there because of what's occurred to them. They've had some shocking, adverse life experiences. They've experienced sexual and or physical violence prior to going to prison as a child and or an adult. So it continues. Like they have a high level of mental health needs, often as a result from domestic violence and the continued sexual violence that they're experiencing. And they also experience adverse mental health as a result of going to prison. So women that come out of prison are coming out with complex trauma. They've developed drug and alcohol addictions because dependency as a result of all the things that have occurred in their life, back to their abuse. They're separated from their children. What I'd like to do now is introduce you to Kelly and share in her words about her journey with the Women's Justice Network. Kelly ended up in custody as a result of escaping a very violent relationship. She'd had enough. She jumped in her car and drove away to keep herself safe. This is where Kelly's life changed forever. She tragically hit and injured a person crossing the street. Kelly was sentenced to 3 years in prison and lost everything, and is now living with the guilt and shame of her actions. She now has a criminal record. Kelly talks about her involvement with the Women's Justice Network and how impactful having a mentor was to her. My mentor has provided me with care and understanding at a time in my life when I just wanted to die. Her approach and humanity to my situation gave me a different view of what I was going through. Her trust and support restored my faith in kindness and gave me an opportunity to learn to be kinder to myself. The Women's Justice Network has impacted my life in the very best way imaginable. I've been able to get back to the point in my life when I actually want to keep living. When I first came in contact with the Women's Justice Network, I was incarcerated and suicidal. I'd lost everything, including my home, family, and my friends. I now have a home, gained employment, and am living a happy life and feel incredibly lucky. My mentor saved my life. The Women's Justice Network helped save my life. I've been connected with 6 organisations over the past year. If I could give the Award of the Year for diversity in what one organisation offers to help someone reclaim their life, I would give it to the Women's Justice Network. with a big shout out to her caseworker and mentor whose support, kindness and can-do attitude totally rubbed off on me. Mentors are amazing. Mentors are first matched with women in custody, writing letters, which is always, when we train mentors, we tell them they actually have to start writing a letter. And nobody writes letters anymore. They find it really frightening, the fact that you have to have, and you don't type it, you have to put it pen to paper. It's the old-fashioned way of communicating. But it's really, really impactful for the women in custody to receive mail that is handwritten. So they start building a relationship. Some women in custody talk about it being almost like a journal. So they're actually able to, talk about their feelings and that in a way without meeting somebody face to face. It's actually very therapeutic. And the relationship continues once they're released from custody. The Women's Justice Network has an amazing proven track record with 9 in 10 women who engage in our mentoring program do not reoffend. Did you know how much it costs to keep somebody in prison for a year? Well, it costs Australia a minimum of $147,000 to house a woman in custody, and our mentoring program only costs $10,000 to mentor and support a woman for 12 months. Do your sums. In the ACT, 1 in 3 women return to prison and 2 in 3 women return to corrective services. That being, they've reoffended but they're placed on a community order. We're so excited because we are a New South Wales-based organisation to have an opportunity to commence mentoring women in the Alexander McConaughey Centre this month, or AMC as it's referred to. We believe all women deserve the chance to thrive. And we know that to build trust with women in custody, our Healing From Within Creativity, Culture and Community Connection program, run by women who have walked in their shoes, is the best way to achieve this. Building positive self-esteem, confidence and cultural connections through storytelling and being creative. Women start to open up their minds to a new possibility, start joining the dots together and believing that they too can have a happy, healthy life. We know that through the introduction of our Healing From Within program, women learn to trust us and want to participate in the mentoring program, just like Kelly. Tonight, you have an opportunity to help us to support 50 women in custody in the ACT to participate in our Healing From Within group program. There is a lack of programs for women in custody, and especially any run by women who have been there themselves. I know that our programs change lives. They change women's lives, their children's lives, and the wider community benefits. Please help make this happen in the ACT. We need your support tonight to raise a minimum of $23,000 to enable our Healing From Within program to be rolled out to women in the Alexander McConaughey Centre 1 day per week at a cost of $500 a week. If, and there's many more than 23 people in the room, if 23 people tonight donate $1,000 each, then we achieve that and 50 women will benefit. And if we are fortunate to raise more than $23,000, the additional money will help fund an amazing journal that's been put together by women in New South Wales, and we'd really love to be able to have women in the ACT develop their own version. It's particularly inspirational. And Fiona, can you pass it up the line? I really want you to have a look at it. It's a pretty good journal. So thank you for the opportunity to share the work of the Women's Justice Network, and Kelly's only one story.